I am a Reva and I was taught how to pray Salah.
That means every single time I pray,
the person who told me gets the reward.
5 times a day, from Fajr to Isha.
If you want to support someone like me in learning Salah,
Then sponsor 10 people for just £100.
remember the Prophet, peace be upon him, said,
Charity does not decrease wealth. Click the button and donate now.
The Indian public is calling for mass boycotts of Azerbaijan and more specifically Turkey. The Turkish news channel is being banned, Turkish holidays are being banned, Turkish apples are being banned. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. Yes, absolutely, the Indian public is turning against Turkey. Let's look over here. As you guys can see, the Turkish and Chinese news channels were banned in India. However, after a few hours, the cowards unblocked them and turned back on their heels, disgraced and debased. Have a look at what is being said about Turkey openly. Listen to what General Bakshi is saying. Now, this is somebody that is featured on one of the prominent Indian news channels.
That India is a nuclear power, India is a space power. We can blast the hell out of Turkey if required. No, Turkey has been misbehaving for quite some time.
It's bad. And what's ironic is when it comes to boycotting China, these guys are hella quiet.
India uniting really in this cause, saying any country that backs Pakistan so brazenly will pay the price as well.
And this meme summarizes it very well. When it comes to Turkey, Azerbaijan and other countries, boycott them, mate. Stop everything. Stop trade. All of it, mate. But when it comes to China, sir, look, the big economy, sir. Big problem for us, sir. The hypocrisy is laughable. They're giving it all that, like, yeah, we're going to bring them to their knees, mate. Anyone else who stands up, we're going to bring them to their knees. China, on the other hand, they're chilling. They're probably making some more PL-15s to send Pakistan's way. Have a look at this. This website gets quoted quite a bit. Make My Trip is saying that there have been a rise in cancellations of trips to Turkey of up to 250%. But the comments on these posts are absolutely hilarious here. Look at this guy. He goes, amazing steps towards a green and clear Turkey. Somebody goes, now do the rest of the world. Somebody else says, now I can enjoy my trip to Turkey and Azerbaijan. One guy goes, did Turkey run out of cow dung? This guy, hey poop Jeet, maybe just stay in your own country. And the general sentiment is, with this last guy, more reason to visit Turkey. So if you are thinking of going anywhere, Azerbaijan and Turkey seem to be the obvious choice. I know what you're thinking, why? What's caused this immense overreaction by India? Firstly, it's not just Azerbaijan and Turkey. If you've been watching my previous videos, it's anyone who comes remotely within the sphere of Pakistan that's being smashed. Whether it's the foreign minister announcing a ceasefire, whether it's the female colonel lady who's flipping all over the Indian news as the face of the army and of Operation Sindoor, even this woman is not being spared. Why? Because her family are Muslim. Previously, I've mentioned Pakistani actors have been banned. International YouTube channels like mine have also been banned. So let's look at what Turkey actually did. They didn't just make YouTube videos like me. What they did was, here's a tweet from Erdogan. He said, long live Pakistan, Turkey friendship. And then he proceeds to say, we will continue to be by your side in good and bad times. This was on the 13th of May, and this came after him actually on stage saying that they stand with Pakistan.
We expressed our support to the Pakistani public and the tension which reached serious levels, and in order to decrease it, we made efforts.
It doesn't get more clearer than that. And respect and kudos to Turkey for taking such a brave and brazen step, which I wouldn't see coming from certain Muslim majority countries. Why? Because they know that India has a big population, and even in trade They are very high up, so damaging relations with them can have big repercussions. Turkey, on the other hand, have given zero tosses about this. Now, when it comes to Turkish drones, this is something that typically people following the India-Pakistan conflict know, that India got their drones from Israel, Pakistan got their drones from Turkey. There have not been any official announcements, but with the drones that have been shot down, Pakistanis have noticed these are Israeli, and Indians claim that these are Turkish. It's not outlandish, but Turkey hasn't announced it. But when you look at the Indian news, they are saying that Turkey has supplied Pakistan with the Kamikaze and Sungar drones. And they're also saying that Turkey sent a corvette warship post Pahalgam, April 22nd, which clearly demonstrates Turkey allying with Pakistan. The official news story, I don't know, cover story or story is Turkey had a routine stop to make, and considering what was going on, they didn't change the course of what typically happens. But you and I both know, respect to Turkey. In conclusion, they have, however, jumped beyond and tried to make a mountain out of a molehill. Like before the Pahalgam attack, there was a C-130J that landed in Pakistan. They're saying that they're supplying Pakistan with a plane, with weapons, with this, that. But Turkey's saying, hang on a minute, no, that was a routine stop for fuel. That's the first thing. And secondly, it wasn't armed at all. So where are you getting this from? But that doesn't matter. Facts don't matter for the Indian media, ladies and gentlemen. You should know this by now. And you know what's really bugging India? The fact that Turkey hasn't released an official statement. Like they just don't care. So what they're doing is they're looking for any scraps they can find, yeah? Here was a statement from one of their tourist sites saying, there's no reason for you to cancel trips to Turkey. How did India interpret this? Turkey begging Indians to come back. Guys, what a joke. In fact, if you look at this underneath the headline, it gives the quote, but majority of the people just look at headlines. I don't see any indication of them begging. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think Turkey is gaslighting them. Hey, what did we do? It's immense amount of gaslighting and possibly even mocking them. So ladies and gentlemen, if this isn't the cherry on top of the crap sandwich that India is having to endure at this moment in time, have a look at this. Yeah, this is something I saw today, which is over 20 influencers being investigated. Why? Because they are saying stuff that the Indian government is unhappy with. This is just so embarrassing. Yeah, they're just banning everyone left, right, and center. How can anyone that has more than one brain cell in their head call number one India a functioning democracy, and number two claim they have freedom of press, and number three claim that anyone that's in the Indian media has an IQ of more than a toilet brush? Let's leave it there, guys. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.